Lance Stroll's bad racing lately has made people wonder about his future in racing, and even though his dad supports him as long as he's the team boss, this will probably change soon because all the money people are asking questions about whether Aston Martin can keep going with the drivers they have now, and the team leaders clearly like one driver more than the other. Lawrence Stroll might have to think about other choices if he wants to keep his team going, but with Cognizant not being the main sponsor anymore, rumors about Lawrence selling the team to whoever pays the most have gotten even stronger. And even if this probably won't happen, Lance being on the team is costing them a lot right now, which is a problem Lawrence needs to fix quickly with possible replacements already coming. Aston Martin was one of the biggest good surprises in 2023, especially in the first half of the year, and the team was pretty much a top 3 team, winning trophies with Alonso in a normal way. Actually, in the first 8 races, Alonso was able to get on the winner's platform 6 times, which made it look like he could fight for second place in the drivers' competition and put Aston Martin in a spot they could only dream of in their first 2 years in the sport. But after the recent problems that started at Silverstone and got worse when McLaren found more speed in their McLittle 60 car, and Mercedes getting more steady points, Aston Martin is now in danger of losing 4th place in the team competition. Going from being a top 3 team to dropping down to the 5th fastest team is something that definitely makes people ask questions like how steady are the drivers now, besides the car not performing as well being the clear reason for the AMR23 being slower, with Alonso not being on the winner's platform as much as he was in the first half of the season and only getting 1 trophy in the rest of the year. There's one thing we can't ignore, and that's how Lance Stroll performed. The son of the Aston Martin owner has had some really questionable performances in the past few weeks, like the one in Qatar where he angrily threw his steering wheel in the garage and pushed his trainer after getting out of the car in the garage after being knocked out in the first part of qualifying. And Lance being knocked out in the first part of qualifying is something we've been seeing for a long time now, especially in the second half of the season when the car started losing its early speed in 2023. The best result Lance had was 4th place, and it wasn't even in a regular race, it was during the short sprint race in Austria. To make it worse, the numbers compared to Alonso are pretty disappointing: 0 trophies compared to the Spanish drivers, 7, and a difference of 136 points in the Drivers' Championship. The fact that Lance only got 47 points and is very close to being beaten by both Alpine drivers and will probably finish the season in 12th place while having the 4th or 5th fastest car shows a lot about how interested he is in the sport and the danger he brings to Aston Martin's future in Qatar. Lance even failed to beat Logan Sargent in qualifying, which shows that something was seriously wrong with how much he cared about the race, especially after his controversial words after qualifying where he didn't say anything helpful and just rushed to finish it as fast as possible. Now, the team has supposedly been connected to being sold to one of the biggest Saudi Arabian oil companies, Aramco, since they're currently the only main sponsor that the Silverstone team has after Cognizant left. The current offer is $800 million, and while Lawrence Stroll said no once, it's clear that he'll definitely think about it again. Lawrence himself said that while Formula One has been doing well lately, it's a business that burns money, pointing to the fact that you can't always make money, even though you're doing much better than the previous season. Many people think Lawrence won't do this move because he has put so much money into the team, but Formula One experts think the only reason Lawrence is committed is because of his son, and Lance is the only reason Lawrence is in this business in the first place. Obviously, Lance can't make it on his own and needs help from sponsors who wouldn't mind if Alonso had a second good driver next to him who could help him in the team competition much more than Lance is doing right now. The biggest problem Aston Martin faces is not having 2 steady drivers, so even if Lawrence stays as the team leader, changes about the seat next to Alonso will definitely be forced on him. Obviously, the only fan of Lance right now is probably his father, and even though we've seen some great moments from him in his early days at Williams and at Racing Point once his father took over Aston Martin in Formula One, there's nothing Lance has done to impress us, even when his team gave him a good car to race with. Now, Beating Alonso in the same car is a questionable task by itself. And that's not something we're saying should happen if you're Lance Stroll. But having the big difference he has right now is also a very big sign that something is terribly wrong with how Lance thinks about his entire Formula One journey. And Lance is not a new driver at all. He started his 7th season as a full-time Formula One driver, which should be enough for him to perform much better now. Aston Martin has made a deal with Honda starting in 2026 to use their engines, and even though this move has been called revolutionary for the team's progress, it's very unlikely it will come without its own problems for Lance Stroll's future. Honda has one driver currently racing in AlphaTauri, Yuki Tsunoda, and even though the Japanese driver has a contract with Red Bull, Honda might want to take him for their journey with the Silverstone team as early as 2024 if the buying of Aston Martin is finished before 2024, and Lawrence steps down from leading the team in the next couple of seasons, then there's nothing that would make Aramco keep Lance in his seat. After all, Lawrence is a businessman, and making tough choices is part of his daily life. Even though this one might hurt a lot more than previous ones he had to make. Honda has promised to support Yuki in a recent statement, and they said that even though he drives for AlphaTauri, they will also have a say in his future from 2026 onwards. But with how recent things have gone with Aston Martin, it seems like Yuki will have the chance to perform in a much more competitive team starting as early as 2024, paired up with Fernando Alonso. Talking more about this, the president of Honda Racing Corporation, Koji Watanabe, said Franz Toast, and I agreed that we would first take a close look at the project for 3 years, and then think about it together and have a discussion around the summer of the 3rd year. Basically, there was a shared understanding that he was a driver AlphaTauri couldn't do without. The reason it took so long to make the announcement was because we were working out the details. We were discussing different things about how Honda should support AlphaTauri until 2025, about how it works, but obviously with how things went between Honda and Red Bull, Watanabe knows more than anyone that their priority right now should be Aston Martin, and they should pay more attention to what's happening in the Silverstone team situation right now. And when talking about this, he continued, our goal is to become #1 in the world with Aston Martin after 2026, so we don't want to let go of the pieces we need to make that happen. I hope Tsunoda will grow up and become an important piece for us by then. And I tell Yuki, it doesn't matter where you can go wherever you can win. If we're a team that can give you that space, we would like drivers to come, and if we're a bad Honda team, I don't think they will want to come. Even Helmut Marko admitted that Aston Martin has shown interest in Tsunoda for 2024, but for them to reach their goal, they would have to make a deal with Red Bull first rather than Honda, since Tsunoda currently has contract duties with the Austrian team too. With all the skills and knowledge Honda will bring to Aston Martin, it's safe to think that they'll push for a more stable lineup, one that hopefully won't have any family favoritism with the team owners. That's something that would work well not only for Honda, but also for Aston Martin sponsors. And if Lawrence wants to see his team continue the good form they started at the beginning of 2023, he would have to make some heavy decisions in the near future. So do you think Tsunoda will join Aston Martin as early as 2024? Let us know in the comments down below.